Manute Bol has got to be one of the weirdest players in NBA history. He left behind a very odd legacy, an NBA AIDS conspiracy, and currently has a son that's in the league on the Orlando Magic right now. Today we're going to be talking about Manute Bol and how good really was he. Our story for today is going to start in 1982, when 7'7" Manute Bol was discovered by Don Feely, who would send him to the United States to play for Cleveland State University's basketball team. When he got to enrollment time, he 1. Did not know how old he was, and 2. Didn't speak English whatsoever. The first issue was solved relatively quickly, as Kevin Mackey would say Manute Bol was born on the 16th of October of 1962, despite Manute being adamant he was much older. For the second issue, it took a bit more time, and eventually was the reason Manute Bol would be denied enrollment in Cleveland State University's college. After a suggestion from Kevin Mackey, Manute Bol would eventually declare for the 1983 NBA draft, where he would be taken by the San Diego Clippers in the 5th round, because he was 7'7". He might have been only selected because he was 7'7", as he really hadn't proved himself in the basketball world. He was really new to basketball and really didn't know the sport very well. However, he actually wouldn't see the NBA floor until 1985, because that pick would be ruled invalid due to him not declaring for the NBA draft 45 days before the draft had began. Now at this point, he had received rejection from both the NBA and the NCAA, therefore he would resort to playing Division II basketball at Bridgeport University. There at Bridgeport, he would average 22.5 points per game, 13.5 rebounds, and 7 blocks a game. Manute would declare for the 1985 NBA draft for his family back in Sudan, despite people suggesting he should play one more year in college. However, that would not stop the Washington Bullets from selecting him 31st overall in the 1985 NBA draft. Now, Bol had a very interesting build. He was 7'7" and a little over 200 pounds, and to put that in perspective, George Mirasan, his 7'7" counterpart, eventually later on in his career, was 303 pounds. Opponents were a lot more bulkier than him, needless to say, which is the reason for a lot of his offensive struggles, averaging just 3.7 points per game and 46% from the field, along with 48% from the line. However, he was very tall and was a very good shot blocker, averaging a rookie record of 5 blocks per game, which included 5 games over 10 blocks, including a 15-block performance against the Hawks on January 26th of 1986. He would on average play 26 minutes per game as a rookie, which is the most of his career, leading to a decrease in effectiveness. As a rookie, he would start 60 games. In his final 2 years with the Bullets, he would start a combined 16. He would eventually become a member of the Golden State Warriors, where he would receive more playing time. On 22 minutes per game, he would block an average of 4.3 shots per game and 3.2 of the next year. Bol would eventually be traded to the Philadelphia 76ers in August of 1990. He would play all 82 games for the first time since 1987, however his production would begin to slip a little bit more. However, he was still blocking a lot of shots on a high volume. Philadelphia would also be the place where he would develop a close friendship with Charles Barkley, along with having his most memorable game of his entire career, because on March 3rd of 1993, he would hit 6 threes in one half, with one of the oddest jump shots I've ever seen. 1993 would be the last year he would play a full season. In his final years of his career, he would play for a few different teams. He would go to Miami, and then eventually would return to Golden State, Philadelphia, and Washington. When he returned to Washington, he would mentor fellow 7'7" big man George Mirasan. To this day, George Mirasan and Manute Bol are still the 2 tallest teammates in the history of the NBA. Manute Bol would end his career on average 2.6 points per game, 4.2 rebounds, and an astonishing 3.3 blocks per game in 624 games. He is also a 2-time block champion in 1986 and 1989 and was on the 1986 All-Defensive Second Team. Manute is also the only NBA player to finish his career with more career blocks than points. He also left behind a very weird conspiracy theory, because although age conspiracies are not necessarily unknown in basketball, this one is kind of different, because Manute Bol lost his birth certificate at a very young age. Therefore, whenever he went to Cleveland State, Kevin Mackey made his birth date October 16th of 1962, although both he and Manute believed that Manute was much older. Manute also says that he smashed a rock against his head every 5 years of his life to keep track of his age, and since he had 11 scars on his head, making him well into his 50s.